Hey everybody, this is Clint, and I think this will be one of the most valuable videos that I make, probably to a lot of people, and I hope that it's useful to you. This is my campaign, Downcast. If you watch my videos at all, at any length, you've heard of this campaign, because I've talked about it non-stop for the past 6 months. I mean, not constantly, but I will slide it in to every single video I make, and many of the interactions I have with people online. And I first off, I started out about 6 months ago working on this. Now I had written the story before, a different iteration of the story before. I had, tried a little bit of networking for comics, but not much. I discovered Comicsgate and the network of creators that existed, and it really got me energized and made me feel like this was a good place and a good opportunity to make this book happen. Now, from where I started, I had written 2 novels. I've talked about those a lot too. I've written 2 novels. One of them did fairly well. Like I had over 11,000 people download it. I don't know what percentage of those people read it. I can tell you that basically none of those fans, no, probably not none, very few of those fans carried over into this comic to back it. I essentially, for as far as comics are concerned, I am nobody. At least that's how I started. Now, today, 6 months later, I have a campaign that has 3 days left. And actually, by the time I post this, it's going to have 2 days left. And at the moment, I'm at 22,623 with 630 backers. And this is actually sales of about 100 and actually probably close to 140 physical let me restart that again. 1,040 physical print books that I have sold at the moment, along with a little under 100, I think it's like 96 digital copies of this book that I have sold. There's still 3 days 3 days left, and this is sort of like you get the little bump at the end. So and if I look at Backer Tracker, like I should hit $25,000, assuming that it follows the trend. Then this will be open in in-demand store. There's no reason why it won't hit $30,000 after in-demand if I keep doing what it is that I'm doing. I've never worked for a comic book publisher. I've never I've talked to, honestly, the only comic book pro I have ever had a conversation with online was Jim Zub when I started this whole journey. That was it. He gave me some advice. That was kind of him, but he didn't do me any favors. I don't have any rich relatives. I didn't even actually promote this really to friends and family. I posted it on Facebook a couple times, but I make it really bothers me when people promote all their businesses or things like that to friends and family. So I make a point not to do that because I don't want any pity backs, if that makes sense, pity sells. But my parents bought a couple copies of the book. I think they bought a collector's bundle, and probably my parents-in-law, I know they bought a couple copies. Outside of that, I know, like my brother that I spend a lot of time with, he didn't even buy a copy because he's not super into comics, and that's cool. Okay, so the reason I lay all this out is because I think this is important to understand. There has been a lot of talk about what it takes to be quote-unquote successful on a crowdfunding campaign. Now, what your definition of success is may vary. I have a very specific definition that a very specific metric that I am using for success in my case, and I have a feeling that many of you are going to share my definition. If you don't, that's cool, but I still think this is I think this is worth your time to watch this video. All right, so the crazy thing with this crowdfunding campaign and this whole experience, this whole thing has been insane. The past 6 months have been crazy. I don't know how to say this without sounding like a weirdo, but I've done something that is relatively very difficult to do, or people would not expect to be possible. I don't want to say I did the impossible. I don't believe that at all. I believe that my success could be duplicated, but it's not going to be exactly the way that I did it, if that makes sense. Hopefully by the end it will make sense. So I put this tweet out and I mentioned some of my metrics. So if you look at my Twitter followers right now, and I'll tell you, when I launched my campaign, I did not have as many followers as I do now. I have 1,056 followers at the moment. When I launched my campaign, I think I had 800 followers. So actually, the success of my campaign actually gained me a lot of Twitter followers. Now, this is not really that big of a Twitter following, really. And I'll tell you, I didn't put all that much effort into marketing on Twitter. I will let you know how I have used Twitter, but it is definitely a component. And despite my feelings toward Twitter, it is still, I think, a really valuable tool for promoting, at least with my method and the way that I went. My YouTube channel at the moment has 3,405 subscribers. Thanks, everybody. I will tell you that once I launched my campaign, because of the success of it early on, I actually got more subscribers. So when I started and launched my campaign, I didn't even quite have 3,000 subscribers. I think it was like 2,800, something like that. And it has grown for sure. And, there's a lot of different factors for that. For me and my method, YouTube has been the most valuable tool. Let me say that again. The most valuable tool in order to promote my comic book. And even though it's really small, it did a lot of work. Okay, I also have to let you know what I had. Full disclosure, I have a mailing list, and I've been telling people it's 400 contacts on that mailing list. It's actually 395, and 5 of those are probably people I asked to try it out to make sure everything worked. So really, I have 390 email addresses, email subscribers to this mailing list. That is it. That's an incredibly tiny mailing list. And that's all I have. I have a Facebook, but it's just friends and family. I'm sure I got a few from there, but not a lot. So I saw this. This is a live stream that Ethan Van Sciver did, and he had this discussion. I think this is where it started up, on how many followers you need in order to have a successful crowdfunding campaign. And he says shoot for 25,000 subscribers. I would love to have 25,000 subscribers, and I'm going to get there eventually. I'm going to keep working on it. But I wanted to just play this a little bit. I sent him a super chat, and he made a comment on it in my campaign.
That is the way it is. Sweetcast is here, says it works. You just have to work hard. Yeah, Sweetcast is somebody who's out there producing content every single day. It's consistent. It's good. He's already attracted a pretty big audience, and he's getting better. And Sweetcast, by the way, I'm not sure how many subscribers he has, but it's nowhere near 25,000. So there are variables here. He was able to utilize his audience. And Sweetcast, Clint, as I said, the usual result of this is that like 8 to 12% of the people that listen to you, might buy your comic. I mean, what are you at, like 100%? I mean, you've got everybody buying your comic book. So it is very, very impressive. Nice. Okay.
So, it's really cool to get recognition. And this was not a super chat. I just realized, it's really cool. You'll notice this is a thing. If I go into a live stream and I just put in a chat, it works. You just have to work hard. Not always, but a lot of the time, people know who I am, and they'll read it out live on their stream. That's important. I'm going to get back to that a little bit later. But if you think that's not important, it is. That's amazing to have. I don't want to call it power, but it kind of is. if people recognize you, you got the name recognition, and they can say something about you on a bigger live stream than you have yourself, that's important. That's not by mistake either. This has taken a lot of work. It's not just this particular live stream with Ethan Van Sciver. It basically, almost any live stream that I go on to, if I make a comment, people in that live stream recognize me. It's a really cool feeling. When I really started thinking about it in preparation for this video, it kind of blew my mind. Like, it's just crazy when I think about when I started in all of this. I was just learning who all these people were. Nobody knew who I was. And so starting out really scrappy at the beginning, and now people know who I am. All right, so I laid out the facts, I think. We wanted to try and make this video quick, but I don't think it's going to be. I really want to go through and be thorough with this. I'm hoping that this will be helpful to people even down the line, because while things change with crowdfunding, they change all the time. I think that most of the fundamentals here don't change. I'm going to give you exactly, to the best of my ability, every single thing that I did that I think affected me and allowed me to raise, by the end of this campaign, $25,000 to $30,000 with only a little over 3,000 YouTube subscribers, essentially being nobody. Okay, so if I were to sum it all up, step one, okay, to get where do what I have done, it's 6 months of work, 6 months of optimized messaging. Okay, optimized. If there was one word that I could sum up how I possibly did this with such a small following, it's optimization. When you're starting out and you're really small, you have to be scrappy, and you have to take every single edge and advantage that you can get. That's exactly the way I thought about this. I thought about it as a game. And another thing I want to point out here is, yes, luck is a factor. I could actually even make another point here and just put luck. I'm not going to be, so fat-headed as to say that all of this is my doing. There were extremely lucky breaks that I got. Extremely lucky. Okay. And probably many lucky breaks that I didn't even realize were lucky breaks, that I may be taking credit for and don't realize it. But that is a factor. Now, on the other side of that, there's also unlucky things that happen that I feel like have prevented me from even having a bigger campaign. But as far as I look at it, the lucky components are out of your control. Anything that's truly by chance, it is out of your control. And so to me, there's no use in stressing about it. But that is a component. Now, some of those lucky things are getting noticed, like the fact that that Ethan watches my videos, or he used to watch my videos with some regularity. Then it put me on his radar, and he did mention me in live streams. That really helped. He also invited me on live streams. That definitely helped. I think the fact, the time of year that I started my YouTube channel, the fact that I already had a microphone and everything, a quality microphone, and the fact that I hadn't thought about this, but I guess I have a nice voice enough to enough people that they're willing to sit and listen to me talk. So those are all factors I had no control over. It just kind of, those things fell into place. I'm sure there are more, but I do want to point out that that's definitely a factor, and that's going to make your experience different than my experience. Okay, so my strategy was 95% YouTube and 5% Twitter. Everything else outside of that, I just recently started an Instagram account, and I'm not great with it. I'm starting to learn. I'm not going to credit it with much of anything for building my channel, or my my campaign sales numbers rather. And then the 5% Twitter, I communicate with people on Twitter, and it's really helpful for networking. As far as promotion goes, I just don't know. But I can tell you this is how my mind was. I was focused so much on YouTube. Now, I believe if you are somebody that believes that you can be really good on YouTube or on Instagram or on Facebook or whatever platform you're most comfortable with, and you feel like you can move the needle there, then I believe you should concentrate more effort there. Because again, we're talking about optimization. You're going to make more of an impact on those platforms where you know how to play the game. So I did say concentrate where you make the most progress. I explained that. Play the game that suits the platform and learn the algorithm. This means sort of at the beginning, I read a ton of articles on YouTube's algorithm, and you have to be looking at the latest stuff on YouTube's algorithm. And these all seem like really small numbers. Let's just look back at my channel real quick. If you look at my videos, like we'll just go to my videos here, you'll see that I don't really have a ton of views. Like really, in the big picture, they're not a ton of views. My goal, and once I got stabilized, my goal was to get at least 1,000 views on every video. That's really not very many, but you can see that I about was able to achieve that. Probably if I scroll back farther, you're going to see more failures. Every once in a while, I'd have one that just does terrible. Live streams usually don't get as many views, but they are helpful for different reasons. But you can see I'm basically advertising. Wow, that one was really good. 13,000, 7,000. Yeah, I'm basically advertising to 1,000 people every single day. Not all those people are subscribers. In fact, probably a big portion of them aren't subscribers. I can actually look at my YouTube analytics. I am reaching new people outside of my subscribers each and every day. And if I'm promoting my book just for a little bit at the beginning of each video or at the end, then I am basically amplifying. I've optimized my platform to talk to more people than I actually have access to on my subscriber list. And over time that builds up. You might not capture those people as a YouTube subscriber, but if you're promoting your mailing list every day, you may be capturing them as one of your subscribers in your mailing list. If they're in your mailing list, chances are they're pretty dedicated to getting your comic, especially if you're promoting it through your YouTube channel. It sort of filters people out. And so I have found that my mailing list, and I'll get to this a little bit later, it has an outstanding conversion rate. So while this mailing list is really small, it's a lot of really highly motivated people, subscribers that care about the project, and they're really interested in backing it. All right, so back to my list here, Word document. So I did say also play the game that suits the platform. When I started out making videos, I wanted to make, I had some political videos, but I wanted to do how to write comics videos. The truth is those don't do very well. And so I could be stubborn and say, no, my goal is to make videos on how to write comics, and probably eventually I could grow my channel to the size that it is now or even bigger. That's totally possible. But my goal for YouTube was a way for me to give people content, to give them something that they wanted. So finding out what they want is important. And on YouTube, I have personally found that the most effective thing you can do in a video is pick a trending topic, and obviously you need to make an emotional title for it and a good thumbnail that draws people's interest. But in that video and the content, you have to pick a point of view. People are going to disagree with you, like always. It doesn't matter what the topic is. People are going to disagree with you, and that is okay. You've picked a point of view. If you don't pick a point of view, your content becomes much less interesting. Now, if I'm to apply this to Twitter, it's going to be a different game that you're playing. There's also conflict involved in Twitter. Surprise, surprise, people like conflict. Now, I'm not one to go start conflict on Twitter, but picking a point of view is definitely something that works on Twitter. And you can actually find like-minded people there. And again, I'm no expert on Twitter, so I'll leave that to experts. But you see where I'm going here. There's a different kind of culture in each and every one of these platforms, and so the game is different. On Instagram, I'm just getting into that, but I think I would be less about picking a point of view and more about consistently posting like pictures. I want to do more art and stuff, but just posting things for people to see, content that you can give to them. So that brings me to my next section. Giving, I've heard different numbers. This is how I thought of it. I want to give somebody 20 times more than I ask. So every time I ask somebody something, I want to give them 20 other somethings back. Obviously, you can't just, like the whole game of, if you support my campaign, I'll support your campaign. That doesn't really work because you're just exchanging money back and forth. I mean, you know, if you want the book, that's cool, but that's not really going to build you an audience. So you need to find something that you can give to people, and you can give them a lot of it. Something that they find value in. Now, for me, that was making YouTube videos, and, you know, analyzing things, maybe entertaining people a little bit. If I was more of a funny guy, I would double down on that and be as funny as I could possibly be and give people, you know, a good experience and be funny. If, you know, and again, whatever you do, don't try to do something that you don't really have. You know, if I were to play this game in this format the same way that anybody else did it, it becomes really obvious. So if you are just genuine in however you're going to do it, whatever angle you're going to take, that's going to take you really far. So it's going to take some time for you to figure out what works for you. Honestly, I still feel like I'm trying to find my balance. I've definitely gotten better, but it's something that you need to figure out. Regardless, you should start immediately. If you want to start, you know, having a successful campaign, you need to give people whatever it is you're going to be giving them, and you give it freely, and you give it a lot. Then when you ask for something, and I do this in every single video, so if I have a video that's 10 minutes long, that means I am asking them 30 seconds of that video something, you know. So it doesn't exactly work out that way, but you want it to feel that way, that you're giving them so much more, and then when you ask for something, they're more willing to give it to you. Now, if they don't give it to you, and when you ask, you got to understand that's just how life works. Don't get upset about it. Don't expect it. But you keep giving, and don't forget to ask that one time. You need to still ask every single time. And you can ask for a subscriber. You can ask for a follow. You can ask for people to join your mailing list, people to back your book, depending on what stage you are of this process. Don't forget to ask. You don't want to leave that out. Just make sure that you're not asking too much. All right, engagement. Talk to everybody as much as you can. That seems really straightforward, but a lot of people ignore this, and I feel like this is the fatal flaw. This has been huge. When I started out, I would comment, I'd reply to every single comment in my comment section. It has become much more difficult to keep up with that rate now, but I still will take time to read the comments as much as I can, and at the very least give people the little heart, the little love it icon next to their comment, just so they know that I read it. You have to understand, you're not too good to talk to people. And in fact, I would even tell you, somebody that has a big following, let's say you had 100,000 subscribers, if you actually spent time responding to a lot of people, at least that are commenting on your videos, you're going to have a better conversion rate. I guarantee it. That has made such a huge difference. So I would honestly, I don't think I'm ever going to get too big to engage with people in the comment section, because that honestly is how you optimize your audience. You're talking with people, even if they disagree with you, you know, be nice to people. Disagree, that's cool. That's going to happen. That's sort of part of the process. But let people know that you are listening to them and engage with them. Okay, so cast a wider net. Making all sorts of videos, making all sorts of content, and every time you do, asking people to sign up to a mailing list. Again, it's not just those subscribers on YouTube or on Twitter or wherever you're at. It's not just those subscribers. You're capturing them elsewhere, like in your mailing list, and that is how you catch a wider net, and you qualify people, I guess, to be more into your product. That's really important. And that's where I'd really think of the optimization. Okay, talk about your project every day. You don't have to be asking, and you don't have to be salesy about it. It can be annoying. People get it. But, if you're talking about comics, it's actually really easy to say, in my comic, I did this, I thought that. This is important. Something I want to point out is you don't want to hide it. You don't want to make it a surprise for your launch day, that is a terrible idea. If you can think of any film that you would go watch without seeing the trailer, like, or any movie, is there any film that's ever gone out without having a movie trailer first that shows a little bit about what the movie's about? There's a reason why they do that, and that's because it sells the movie. So you need to be showing art, you need to be talking about it. You don't give away spoilers at all, but you still want to be generous with what you say and be willing to just tell people about your book every single day. So there's no question that you have a book coming out, and if people know what your book is, that's amazing. You're optimizing your reach, because even though you have a small subscriber list, even though I have a small subscriber list, if I pop into somebody's live stream, and not just Ethan, anybody in this niche, they recognize me, they know who I am, and they also know the name of my book. That's how you do it. Okay, so number 8 here, know, like, and trust. You've probably heard this before if you've done any research into social media marketing. It's just like it sounds. You want people to know you. They're going to know your name. They're going to recognize you. You want them to like you. Now, not everyone's going to like you. The best way you can get people to like you is to just be genuine and give opportunities for people to get to know you. And genuinely in that process, there's bound to be, like, even if you're a pretty darn unlikable person, you're going to find some percentage of people that like you. That's just the way that it works. People are built that way. They can't like you if they never get to know you. So you got to do that. And then trust you. If you're going to ask people to give you money so you can do a project, they've got to trust you. This has been difficult for me. I think I've made this more difficult than it needed to be. I wanted people to know that I'd written books before, so they know that this wasn't my first go around. I wanted to build that credibility. But also I think being consistent by making YouTube videos or whatever platform you're on, if you're consistent, people are going to trust you more, that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And you're following up with people, you're talking with people. That's how they're going to trust you more. So these 3 things, know, like, trust, in everything that you do. Every day you should be building more people. You should be helping people know, like, and trust you. And all of that is going to be part of your interactions with people every day. All right, build credibility. I don't know a surefire way to do this. I felt like it was important. Again, maybe you can do all this and not care about building credibility. For me, I felt like it was important. It was part of my process. I wanted people to read my book. I gave out, everybody that joined my mailing list, they'd automatically get sent a free ebook copy of my novel so that they could read it. For me, that was how I tried to build credibility. I don't know how many people read it. I know, several did, because people told me they read it and gave me their, feedback after reading the book. And that was nice. But that was my attempt at building credibility. All right, so this one it's not that complicated to understand, okay? You ever heard, like, the carrot versus the stick principle, right? If you're trying to, like, we'll say, like, lead, like, a rabbit into your house or something. I don't know why you'd do that, but you could either extend a carrot, right, and you sort of bait them into it, or you could use a stick and you swat the rabbit or whatever to get them to where you want them to go. One is motivating them in, like, a positive way, and one is motivating them in a negative way. You need to motivate people. I would say the carrot way is always the best way. I cannot think of a single instance that a stick is the right way to motivate people. But the thing is, I see people making this mistake even today with promoting their comics, like using your mailing list or using your platform or anything like that to try and scare people, or even just your interactions with the people, getting people to scare them or guilt them into supporting you. That is a terrible idea, and that is not going to be sustainable. What you want to do is encourage people. So, for example, on my launch day, what I really wanted and needed, again, I'm looking at the algorithm here. I know that for Indiegogo, I'm going to be better off if I have a really big spike at the beginning, because that big spike of backers is going to put me at the top of the trending list on Indiegogo. They've got an algorithm too. And if you're at the top of the trending list, if you're building lots of attention, you're going to be advertised and promoted by Indiegogo. See, so you're actually leveraging their algorithm to extend your reach with your small audience. And so the best way to do that is to get as many backers as you can to back you the first day or two, as you possibly can. So the way that I did it was with, I used the secret perk. I advertised it on this channel for months, and I sent it out on my mailing list. It was limited, and so there was some urgency, and there was also some collectability of it. And it's basically just like an early bird discount kind of thing that you see on a lot of crowdfunding platforms. But I sold out of that, and there were 95 of them. I sold out in like 2.5 days, not even full 3 days, sold out of all 95. So that was amazing. I know that at least those 95 people came from my mailing list, which wasn't very big. We looked at it. It wasn't even 400 people on that mailing list. They backed it because they wanted. There was a carrot there. There was a benefit to them if they did it. It helped me, so I wanted to help them out. You don't want to make it as like a punishment thing, right? Don't do it. That's a bad way to persuade people to do what you want. You want to invite them to do it. Okay, so network in the community. This is an important one. I know community can sometimes be a controversial word, but honestly, none of this. I don't think I would have seen the success that I had if I hadn't found this comics network that is known as Comicsgate, or Team Comics, or all these like clustered together indie creator network. This has been really, really important. And so to tap into the community has been really helpful, and that's partially how people get to know you and how people refer you to other people and vice versa and all that kind of stuff. So even with my live streams and things like that, I don't think of it as I'm giving individual people something and then I'm asking one back. I'm actually giving sometimes to the community, and even though it might not immediately be something that's great for me, it's going to be good for somebody else. So for example, if a YouTube channel, just a starting small YouTube channel, will say they don't even have 100 subscribers yet, they invite me onto one of their live streams, or whatever. I don't think you can do that anymore. I don't think you can live stream if you have under 1,000 anymore, or at least on a phone or something. But really small channels, they want to do an interview. Now I could be thinking of it as, hey, this is not going to be a good opportunity for me because I'm not really getting exposure. Or I can think of it as, this is one that I'm doing for the community. This is me giving. Okay. And you're not asking anything. You're just giving. And that's okay. That's a good thing to do. You should be doing it. And they're actually really fun, and you get to know people. But don't only look for opportunities that directly benefit you. In the big picture, you want to be giving back because it builds goodwill, and those people have a good experience with you. You never know, their channel might be bigger than yours next month. It happens. People grow. So it's no mistake. You got to talk to people, obviously within reason. You got to have time for all this kind of stuff, but giving back to that community, it really does make a big difference. All right, so on that live stream segment I showed you, I'm sorry guys, I know this video is long. Ethan was mentioning that there was like a 9% or 8% conversion rate from YouTube. Like, you're generally going to get 8% of backers from the size of your YouTube channel. My YouTube channel has it. I've got 19%, which is effectively double what basically Diversity in Comics, Comic Artists Pro Secrets, many other YouTube channels are getting. Now, I'm not going to take all the credit for that. I did really focus on optimizing, every percentage point that I could, but also tapping into this community makes a big difference. Even if people aren't subscribed to your YouTube channel, if they know who you are in the community and they know what your book is, you're actually really extending your reach a lot. So don't underestimate the fact of just talking to people, even if they don't like your content, they don't know anything about you other than your name and what your book is. That's huge. So Twitter, I don't have a very big Twitter following. I have 63%. If you look at it, of backers compared to the size of my Twitter following, that's insane. And I'm not going to credit much of any of that to actually Twitter. I'm going to say it really just came from YouTube. And then my mailing list, that I know of, right? If you just look at the statistics of backers versus the sizing of the mailing list, I actually have 157% return rate. Obviously, those aren't all from the mailing list because that's more than exists in the mailing list. But I will give credit to the mailing list because that's how I incentivized people. I gave them a carrot. That's how I qualified people, made sure that they were interested in my book. And I gave them enough that they found it worth it in order to invest early on, and therefore that helped me in the algorithm for Indiegogo and so on and so on. So it actually, those people helped me way more than I think they realize. So everybody that joined my mailing list, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. All right, so effectively, this is the last and important thing I wanted to cover. I believe that a lot of people underestimate by far how much time and effort goes into making a successful campaign happen. You don't just launch it. You cannot just borrow somebody else's subscribers. You can get a bump from other people. You can definitely get some really big help, but it's not sustainable in the long run. It really isn't. I got help from a lot of other people. I got more help once people saw me being successful. It's funny how that works, but if you can demonstrate some competence and some success, you're actually going to get more people that want to help you. So that's great too. But that's why it's so important to be willing to do the work ahead of time and do as much as you can on your own. Then more people are going to be willing to help you because they believe that they can make a difference. And I can see that firsthand when I'm helping other people promote their books. Somebody that's done a lot of the legwork ahead of time, they're going to see a bigger return on investments when they come on my stream. That it works that way everywhere, not just for the Sweetcast. All right, so for the past 6 months, just about every single day, I missed a few days, almost every day, I would sit down in the evening after my kids are in bed, just like I am right now, and I would spend at minimum 25 minutes and at maximum an hour in order to research and record a video and title it and make a thumbnail. I've tried to streamline this process as much as I possibly can, but it still is a lot of work. So every evening I'm spending 25 minutes to an hour making a video, and I post that video the next day at the optimal time of day, which is give or take an hour, noon Eastern Standard Time. I don't post it immediately when I make it. I'm optimizing it. And again, all this kind of stuff you can look up online. It's not hard to find when the best time to post your videos is. But yeah, every single night. When I do a live stream on any given night, I'm live streaming for 1 to 3 hours. When I live stream for 1 to 3 hours, I still make a video that night. So you can see it makes for an extremely long night when I'm live streaming because I'm live streaming and making a video, and then so it's ready to post the very next day. Okay, so then there's a lot of the other things, the important work things that are not part of the routine, but they come up and you need to do them. One is writing, like writing the script, writing your book, and it's crazy how I want to write comics, and that is the activity I spend probably the least amount of time doing. And I've been writing for years. I do write, but it's not like as time and labor intensive. It's more of a, it's a thought exercise, and it's working through things, and it is writing, recruiting talent, looking at portfolios, talking to people, getting prices for things, getting variant covers worked out, all that kind of stuff. That does take a lot of time. Logistics for all sorts of shipping, that kind of stuff. Figuring out that ahead of time. The campaigning itself takes up a lot of time. Like just coordinating schedules with people, getting on live streams, talking with as many people as you can, posting it on Twitter, making videos, it goes on and on and on. I cannot tell you how much time I put into that because it just is a lot of time, and it's different all the time, different every day. Some days I probably do none of it, but some days I spend quite a bit of time doing it. Okay, so talking to people, this could be through DMs on Twitter, this could be in your own comment section, this could be in live streams on somebody else's channel if you're watching Nick Rekieta's stream. Hopping into the stream and actually talking to people and engaging with people. You think that that's useless. It's not. That's the reason why people recognize you in the future, is because you are actually engaging with people. And I'm just going to put anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour. Sometimes I get in DM conversations with people that'll last quite a while, over the period of a whole day or something. This is so valuable, and I cannot stress it enough. Just talking to people, obviously not if you can tell that they don't want to be talking to you or they're busy or something, but just engage. There's always somebody out there that wants to talk, or and it could be about anything. It doesn't really matter too much, just as long as you're networking. That's important. All right, so I realized that video was insanely long. The reason it is because I feel like it's important. People keep asking about it. I get talked about a lot because of it. Like I'm some kind of phenomenon that I did it. Not a comic book pro yet. I don't have years and years of experience behind me. I don't have a big fan base, but in 6 months time, by following that system and optimizing what I had and talking to people and, luckily finding enough people that were willing to give me a shot, which I will be so grateful for. Honestly, I could not do it without these people, these 630 backers, plus probably hundreds of other people that haven't backed it but have been kind and talked to other people, and all sorts of ways that they can help me even though they haven't backed it. It's been amazing. So can you do this without having 25,000, 100,000 subscribers and years and years of professional experience and already have a household name? Yeah, you don't need any of that stuff, but you do need some of it, and you need realistic expectations. Last thing I want to say is about success. 22,000, and I guarantee you I'm going to have 25,000 by the end of this campaign. That's the end, and then it'll be in demand. So I'm hoping I'll make 30 grand. That's not enough to quit my job. But the goal of this campaign is to gain some of that credibility, to gain some of those experience points that a lot of those pros have. If I can do this, well, and now I've got funded, so the book is coming out. I will have a book into people's hands that they can read my writing. This will give me credibility. So I feel like, I'm trying to get myself to the point where, like Ethan Van Sciver was before he started his YouTube channel. Same with like John Malin and a lot of these other guys, Mike Miller. I'm trying to make up for their years of experience with this kind of experience, and this kind of success, because that gives me a platform to then, now that, theoretically speaking, being caught up, so to speak, then being able to launch another campaign, or a few campaigns, or who knows how far into the future, but I'll have a nice platform to work from, to then be able to be really at that professional level where I can quit my job, and I can be a professional comic book writer. I have no idea how long that's going to take. I'm going to keep making videos though, and you'll find out. So thanks for your patience. Thanks for watching that. I hope that was helpful. I tried to be as thorough as possible, but let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, if there's any glaring things that I missed, I guess, to tell you about. And if you haven't yet, here I go. I would really appreciate it if you backed Downcast. It helps me out a ton, and it also gets you a good book. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.